Well, hello, daily fixers. Let's daily fix together. Hopefully, you have somebody to daily fix safely with. I feel like I'm at work,
You are.
which I think I am. Today, again, we're going to talk about the daily market cap. We're going to talk about the dominance, and we're going to go over Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then just before we started here, we were all talking about layer two solutions and what the hell that is and why it's so great and if it's not great. Plus some other questions that I saw on Discord. And yeah, I'm really stoked. Today, oh, such a great morning. I got to lay out on my back while I talked to well, you two also was a bunch of other people on the Grateful Show, just about what we're doing here and our new kind of 1% concept, just so it's easier for people to enter in without, losing their shirt, which is always nice. And then, I mean, Pope continued with another hour or so of TA later and with some familiar faces there as well. So I'm so stoked to see what everyone's talking about today and, keep hearing Pope talk. I've been listening to him talk for about 5 hours today. We're going to keep listening to him.
Yep. Hey, and big shout out though to Katie. Killed it earlier. That is not what she normally does, getting on spaces. You wouldn't know it because I know we got some good clips. So you don't even have to take my word for it. You'll get to see them in the posts.
I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked. Ashley said, nice shirt. I wore this for him today because he always says go Canucks.
Nice.
Full support. Full support.
All right.
Yeah. So, Pope, you want to.
How we all doing? We're awesome as always. Thanks, Anna America. Good evening, Quan. It's nice to see the people rolling in, and we are going to start off to the races. It was a lot of fun today on the Grateful Ape Show. There'll be some good clips out. You can listen to the recording. There was some solid conversation. But let's get into why we're all here. We are going to go over our usual routine, and then I'll answer any questions. Hopefully you have some. And if not, we will see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. I will be streaming TA and how I'm marking up after the show tomorrow. Because tomorrow day I'm away on Wednesdays. So I thank you for that. And Chris will be taking care of whatever needs to be done in those times. And then the other thing that I've been meaning to say for a while, and I forgot because it's all been exciting, the algos are out and, we're off to the races, is in the giveaways from Christmas. They're en route. And I know they've been off, and I'm pretty sure that Crypto Katie has all of our tracking numbers. So if you were one of the winners, we will be sending you the tracking number here shortly so you can monitor your goods as it's coming to you. So congratulations again to all those that won. And when we kick it off, we'll probably do something like that again here soon. So without further ado, I'll let you add my screen whenever you're ready there, bud.
All right. You're all good. Let's throw it up.
Oh, we are good. All right. As always, total market cap. What a gross few days. And we've talked about this. When money moves, it can move fast and there can be a lot of it. And we were talking about this a little earlier today. And we can see this total right here, $145.2 billion. That's almost 10% of the entire market cap left in about 24 hours. Actually, if these are from Sunday, Monday, right down to here, these three, 10% of all the money in this market to a tune of 145 billion left. And we could see that we had this curl. We talked about that. We drew our parallel channel. And we know we have to get out and retest or we're still going down. We talked about this. Since that happened today, we've already had a pullback of almost $40 billion. So money started to come in. And that's why we started to see, if you're watching the crypto bubbles or the average of difference in percent, we started to see that little bit of a turnaround. So where'd that money go? Well, obviously it went to either other markets or other people's bank accounts if you got stuck in it. But we also know we have to look at our dominance. My dominance go right there. Oh, I got my tools in front. That's why. So we haven't changed the dominance since we've been looking at it. How are we doing since we drew this line?
We're doing great. It looks cool. If I knew that if we could trade that, I would definitely put some money
You
on
know,
it.
and this is what I said I didn't want to happen, but this is what I thought was going to happen. And we started this back here. And we can see right now where we're at. And the reason for me was just because I'm looking at the trends. I want the dominance to go down on these kind of days because that money's staying in the alts longer. Is it going up and down in this time frame? Absolutely. And that's why I say we like to watch these markets, because when it's pulling down, that's when we want to get into alts. That's when we want to get out. And that's what we're looking for. And you can see it's taken 3 hours, 5 to do it all in total. Back in, back out, and back in. And this is why I keep stressing so often, we really want to monitor this. And I just had this feeling we were going up in dominance because of all the sell the news. The ETF, the Grayscale dropping $900 million to Coinbase. And people have asked, why did they do that? Why would they do that? Well, it takes a buyer, first off. You have to have $900 million lying around. And there's not a lot of people that do. And then you have to just sell it when you've had it for so long. And they didn't want to lower the fees. There was a whole bunch of weird shit that went on with it. And there's better places to take your money, the BlackRock and others. And you can see it in there. So this made sense. It was a little harder than I thought it was going to be. I mean, yesterday I did say, I think we'd be in that, high 30s, 38, 39, and low 40s. We made it up to 40,100. We went all the way down to low 38s, but we started to be in here. Now we're looking for this curl. Will there be some more pain? Maybe. I would like to think not. I think they scared out a lot of people already, but there may be another push. Let's start fresh with Bitcoin. This was another way I was showing TA today. So instead of doing a lot of the little lines, we'll save the lines for when we zoom in. But what we're going to do is we're going to find these areas of consolidation. Where is the major ups and downs of these things happening? In here, support, resistance, breaks out, takes off. And typically when it flies through one side of the zone, it tends to go faster through the other. Why? I don't know.
Why don't you move that little box, like just make it a little wider? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why a couple of the bumps even around.
Okay, so like right here, is that what you're talking?
Yeah, but even around sort of the March and April mark, why wouldn't those levels of support and resistance be included?
Okay, so that was just kind of quick and dirty, right? So if we want to zoom in, I'm looking for the majority of the price action. So in here, there's definitely more price action happening in here than there is these little bits. These are the extremities, and then it reverses. It's becoming resistance, and you have to break out. If it couldn't break out the resistance here, it would probably go back down to this level, because that's where the next one is, right? So this is just to quickly give you that idea of, I mean, we can even do it even a little tighter and say the majority of the action is in these areas, and then on top.
Got it.
Right?
Thank you.
So we're starting to see that in this area support. I mean, we just shrunk it again. Here's a major support. It became a big resistance here. Flew through here, flew through here. Support, support, support. Looks like a head and shoulders. And then when we go back, look at that. Look how it lined up. We just changed this over here without even looking over here. And look where we are. Perfectly in line with it. So let's just grab it. And do it there. Now we're fighting between this zone and this zone, and we don't want to get stuck in here. But let's go now this way. Faster, faster, faster. Resistance, support. Look at that. All we did was copy, paste, and drag up. So what I'm always looking for in my job is to find these areas. What's happening in these little areas? How many of them are there? What is the average length of time? What is the average length of dollar? 11%, 57 days. My bad, sorry. I'm actually just going to cheat. Go there. And go there. 9.39%, 57 days. When we start to look at what's normal for these patterns, we have at least an idea. This is the longest time we've consolidated in this area. We've been in it, but we haven't been in it this long. We tried to retest this area. This is exactly where we tried to break. So are we really surprised that it didn't take off after that? I'm a little more surprised we didn't spend more time in this. But it makes sense that we had all the heavy shorting. We had liquidity grabs. We had the sell the news. Oh, that's going to be the lowest. It's going to go. It's going to, if you were in our Discord, you would see some of the stuff I've been marking up on our Bitcoin, and that I even said I'm on the sidelines. Let's do our parallel channel. Highest, low. Anybody want to make a bet that we put a line here and we'll find more?
Like a bet in which we go against what you're saying?
Right. I mean, here it is. Right? Look at all that support. Look how it's resistance. So just looking at it a little differently, like we just did, as opposed to putting all the lines in, but looking for areas of consolidation, and then knowing if it's going to break, where it's probably going to break to and pull back from. We don't have to listen to the Chicken Littles. None of this seems out of place. If you were in down here, knowing that all this ETF and all this other stuff was going to come, why wouldn't you get out? Remember when I said, if you don't take the profits, somebody else will. 32% in 58 days. That's obviously a perfect trade from there to there. Well, not really, because you could go to the wicks. Just more proves the point of what I'm saying. And this here right now is purely looking at price action. We haven't even put an indicator on this yet. And we can start to go, Makes sense. We'll probably consolidate here. We'll go for a retest and we'll try to pop. And so if we do consolidate in this little bit, come out, retest, guess where we're going to stop? We're either going to stop right here or we're going to stop there. And then the next step is we need to get in, retest, and then go up again, just like we did here. Because if we don't, we're coming right back down to here. And if we can't do this retest, we know we're going to be walking on down this line. And then it's going to be the sky is falling. But it's still where we were just a while ago. So let's look at it now with our tools. Over critical greed. We're going to come down. It comes down. Massive curl on the top with our micro bull saying, bull's over. We're going down. Here's our cross. Welcome to the bear. And look what happened. We got that spread. So now we are looking for that curl like I just drew and out of that. So do I think it's doom and gloom fear? I never really do. When I do, trust me, I'll tell you. Right now, no. I got stop lost out a couple. That's part of the game. I never enjoy it, but I know it's going to happen. That's why they're there. I have more liquidity now to invest than I did if I didn't hit that stop loss. So you can focus on, hey, I just lost some money because of a stop loss, or I can focus on, hey, I have dry powder, I have money on hand, and I can start to buy these sales once I'm finding these better entries. Right? And that's why I'm marking up all this stuff throughout the day, is to show you how I can do these different forms of TA. And then it's hunting season, and we can start to find where these patterns are. Like, let's try that again. How long was that again? Just out of curiosity. Does that fit the time? No. A little bit less. These two look very similar in time. So understanding that the money flow, understanding the dominance, understanding how Bitcoin really works and how it influences the market makes us make that much better decisions with our capital, whether we're on the sidelines, shorting or longing. And then, as we learned last night, taking those small profits, and this is where we called it from when we first started the consolidation and where we were at. I'm going to wipe this off too, but I just want to, here's our, and we've come into the spread. We never got the cross. We got the consolidation. We've talked about this a lot since we've been starting. All right. You know what? We have a triangle right there.
Now, how do you know to put that there? Okay. Okay.
Practice, right? But you'll learn in our sheets and the handouts, right? We have a downwards motion, retracement, and we have our three options that we always have. What are they? Breakout, retest, take off, consolidate, yet neither, and shit the bed. And where did we go?
Well, fucking down, man.
Right?
That's what you're asking.
And you start to look at these levels and they start to make real sense. And when we look at the tools that we have at our disposal, damn rights this is going down. I'm just going to delete it all again. And this is on the 4 hour. Let's look at it on the daily. Perfect curl telling us to get out. we can see we're coming up, we're getting into our triangle, and then we know from that triangle we're either going up or we're going down. We know from our curve on our micro bull, we're going down. We've already been up here with Bollinger. We're going down. We have so many indicators telling us days ago, price go down. And this is what I mean when you have a lot of confluence, when you have a lot of indicators that are lining up saying the same information, maybe you should listen. You know, these are statistical, right? Here's this one. Oops. Here's this one we've been talking about. You know, our movement direction. It has that statistical odds of getting to that line of whatever we put in. Mine's set at 70. This fires on this candle close. So we know there's typically retracement. You wait back to get a little bit of a retracement, most likely at your support and resistance. And this is where I'd put my entry. And if this is telling me where my take profit is, why would I? It's telling us it has a 70% chance or better to get here. And I got in on the pullback here, but I can see this. This is when I'm moving my stop loss up and maximizing my profits. You know, and if we mark this quickly, so this is just where that happened on the daily. We know lots of price action happens in one candle in the daily. So if this is my favorite way to use this tool. Okay. Our golden lines in Fibonacci are the 618s and the 786s. But what I'm going to do is right from here is where that line fired. But we laid over our fib, and there's our 618. So I'm going to lay that there. If I was to ladder in, ladder out, which is approach of you can take small pieces of your profit and keep going up to see how it rides, you could put, say, maybe 10% left in your bags in here. These ones don't hit as often, but when they do and you have some left in there, they're golden. So we know we want to get in on this pullback. Makes sense that support resistance will happen there. And when we look at this level, we can see that it's right around that 618. So for me, for whatever reason, I'm going to take that 618 because numbers are weird. So this is going to be my entry. And I'm going to make my entry a different color. And so now that we have this information, we've never seen this information here yet. This hasn't existed because we're looking at the candle close. So we're on this one here. We've laid the tool on it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in because we know these lines are all going to stop on this candle. But this is going to look a completely different because one, we got a lot of days and we've passed, just using this to show this cool tool. So let's change it. Let's go to the 4 hours. All right.
Quan said that fibs are magic, and I think that they are a little bit of a mystery.
So they are. They're really weird.
You know, because it seems like you explain it, it kind of makes sense, but to implement it where I think it should be, I don't know how to read it. When you're doing it, I think, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that'll be a module. And once you know how to do it, it's no different than the red, green, green, red. It's all these little stops along the way that we just keep adding more technical information. And when you look at it, look at the supports. Look where it's stopping. Fib is weird. So let's take it away, because now we've marked these lines, right? And if we go back to when that happened, and we hit play, we're going to buy in here because this candle is about to close. So we missed this entry. Would have been nice. But we're buying in here, and we're going to take profits. Let's say we take 25% here, 50% here, and another 25 up here, even though I'd never do that as my averages, but just for shits and giggles. Right? So it's a game of waiting. We just bought in. We just got our first take profit. You could panic here, but we're now on the 4 hour, and it said we were going to get to that level. Boom. You just hit your second. You're now overbought. And ironically, you just hit your third. And that's the power of this tool on the larger time frames and then zooming in. Now, you don't have to ladder in. You don't have to ladder out. There's 3.69. There's 8.59. There's 17.28 in 2 days and 20 hours using one of our tools, understanding how to use it and when to use it.
I think using these things and like you said, you're supposed to be taking your smaller percentages, especially when you've started, or just because it's a little more predictable, I guess. It's hard to stop in the middle of these greens going up, especially if you can't watch it, right? Because especially if you haven't set a timer, you need to leave and you can shit the bed just as quickly. So it's
we can see the spread. We can see we have legs, if you have to leave, if you're not in, I could see how this would be scary, this pullback for sure. But if you took your profits straight from there to there, you would have had your capital back in your hands rather quickly. You would have had it from here to here, 12 hours.
Do you ever kick in at the 6 or 8 hour mark just to confirm what you're looking at? Or do you find that these intervals that you're looking at gives you a good picture?
I like always bird's eye view from the day and then to the 4 hour. And then when I think I have my full understanding of what's happening, then I'll zoom in. I may even look at the 30s. Right now, would I want to be in the 30s? No, probably not, to be honest. We definitely have downwards motion. We know the market is going that way. Critical fear, the lower time frames get dicey. They can teach you a nasty lesson.
And America brought up moving up your stop, like when I was talking about that, moving up your stop losses, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen. And I guess you can, like you said, you can ladder out.
Yep. And if you were just buying critical fear and you were waiting to break bands or take massive profits, you're going down, and you're going down to really fast. These are 15 minutes. And you know what it's like to catch a falling knife if you're buying in each time to dollar cost your entry. It's atrocious.
Sure do. Thanks for bringing it up.
But that's what I mean. Like, would I be taking this trade? No. We just came out of a micro bear or a micro bull, and we're about to switch again. So it makes sense that we're going to be going down into these levels right now on Ethereum. Just like we were discussing before. Look at that consolidation area. If you really want to get, is that the majority of the price action right there? Maybe. So that means in that we have probably a good probability of coming down. And we may bounce back and forth in here, which would make sense. So when we're in a downwards trend, we're looking for either some really nice consolidation stability that's had this compression coming down and is now building, or we're looking for a nice large spread so we can short for a bit and take those percentages. Let's just say you started to see the spread here and you just jumped in and you just followed the spread. And you're like, oh, it's starting to curl. I'm out. 15 minutes. Right? But the only way you would do this is if you knew from zooming out that we've been on a downwards trend. The last thing you want to try to do is make little longs in this. This is where you short. When it's curling over and doing here, these are where you want to do your longs, because we know we're in an upward motion. Okay. And it's this kind of strategy, it's this kind of thinking, it's watching the money flow, because when it pulls in and takes off, these turn around quick. You know, we can see how fast these turn around. You know, and none of it is overly as scary when we start to look at it. We can see here's a parallel channel. Here's our breakout, our consolidation. After, you know, the pressure built, there's our bearish flag, comes up. Same thing, we got a parallel channel up. Parallel channels work both directions. You can't just go straight up and not have people take profits. We always say we want retracements. This one was a bit of one, but we held this line, and this is what we wanted to do. If we would have missed this area, if we did not stay in this box, it would have been worse, because we're going down to here. And this was a significant move in percentage-wise for Ethereum and Bitcoin. If you didn't get out with these trends showing you to get out and you held on and you're hodling and, you know, I'll get it next time, it's not a big deal. It's 8.88%. That's a lot of money when you only want to catch one a day. That's 8 days work. Let's go to what we've been talking about since we first started and before we get into the coins of what we're going to be trading with, and we can drop Casper and these other ones. You know, this was, for all those that may have not been here but have been watching it, this was the Casper that we marked up, that Amir brought to our attention, that he's a node for. Just because the price is going down and I said to short it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But that's where I said this was the day he was on the show. And I said, yeah, if I was to do with anything with this token, I would short it. Look, it goes right down to these levels of resistance. It steps down each one. And that's why I made it that point of doing it that way the first time. So you can see that price actually does do this action. And we came down to here, and now we're wicking back. You know, as soon as I start to see a little bit of curl, why not take the profits? Right? I would take it at this line. 5 days ago, if you took that call and shorted it, you're at 13.59%. Would I say long it or short it right now? No, because it's fighting to make this retest in this parallel channel that we put on it before. 1, 2, we know it needs to come up, break this, come out and retest. It's probably going to hit these along the way. If it doesn't, it's going to be coming down to these lines, and it wants to stay, because we've already broken this median. It's going to want to stay above this median, or it's going down fast. Just like it goes up fast, it can go down fast if it doesn't hold certain points. Why?
How do you feel like about buying if it does kind of burst down through these trend lines that you've put in? Because you said, was it yesterday or last week, that you wouldn't be buying into this right now? Is this something, if it does make it down to that little yellow trend line, would you kick some money in there?
Probably. It depends at that point what everything is showing me. I said I would get in this. I would short it. I'd short the fuck out of it, is what I think I exactly said. You know, but I also said I'm not much of a shorter. I'm more of a longer. If I couldn't find any longs right now and all my stuff was marked up and I'm ready to go, I'm going to stack my capital. I'm going to be shorting. And I'm going to find situations like this when it was brought to my attention and go, yeah, that's absolutely lined up to make some money. Right? And with our trading series starting soon, on the fast trades, I'm going to be shooting for that 1% a day. On the slow trades, I'm going to be able to recognize that on a daily, we're going to have all these little stops. I'm going to play those with the best of my ability of what I can see and determine and using the indicators, and do that one trade over, if you even just waited for the cross, you saw it break and you came out, that's 4 days, right? Then you started to see it spread here. So let's say you're starting to see it take off again here, and you caught this pullback. You're like, these lines are going. Another 6 days, you're at 20 somewhat percent, because you want to be in a long because the lines are taking off. And you only have to check in each day because you're on the daily. And maybe you're like, oh shit, I don't know what to do here, and you're hitting this line of resistance and you just talk up, and it's only 2 days and you made 8%. Who's going to fault you? Remember when I said we're going to make trades that are winning trades that we're going to learn from? That's a prime example of one, because we still have this spread. Yes, you won 8%. That's awesome. Celebrate it, but just by understanding how these curl and you got out there, now, we left 9% on the table. Or obviously more if we got out at the tops, but like I always say, you never really do. Right? So it's these little nuances. It's how you use the support and the resistance. It's how you use the indicators all together and then just layer them up. And like I said in the very beginning, if this is all new, Jesus Christ, what a clusterfuck. But when you take it in baby steps and you add one indicator at a time, it becomes a lot more sense, and we just keep going on that. And like I said, we have a ton of these. And when they're all marked up, we can just start grabbing them. And on the show earlier today, if you missed it, there's 2 ways to kind of do it too. Just sort by the percentage of change. Find the good ones that have had some swings. Maybe this went down. I don't know, why not? We'll just quickly grab AVAX. All right. You got a nice couple of long indicators there, which are always a little scary for me when you're in a downwards trend on the daily. I would probably avoid those trades, even though it's giving you high probability. I'm a little more guarded with my capital. I'd rather be entering a short and waiting. We just got to pull up. We still have big downs. On a daily, not looking like I really want to get in that other to short. Critical fear, quick up. But we still know we're on a full downwards trend. I bet you that's its pullback, and it's going to continue to go down because the whole market is going down right now. And from here to here is enough people to take profit. 10%. That's huge money when you're playing with huge money. That's what I was trying to make clear yesterday. That 0.5% difference between 1 and 1.5, compounded 1% with $1,000, 3,700% a year. Right? 1.5%, it was like 22,000%. So that's why these little tiny numbers are huge. Let's go back to Casper's. Actually, I'll just close it, not save it. Stacks. Been talking about this one for the last little while. This is the layer 2 solution.
I was just going to ask. So this is the one you were talking about today when you were doing some TA, right? Because I think, layer 2 is something that we were discussing just before the show.
Yeah. And a layer 2 is basically anything that sits over the blockchain that it's based on to make that blockchain more efficient. Bitcoin was obviously the first blockchain. Doesn't mean it's the best by any means. it's the store of value because of how it was all set up and discovered all this world, sure. But for efficiency, is it the best? Hell no. You know that. But they're building layer 2 solutions. In our last major bull run, and one of the best calls we did, it wasn't the best money I ever made, unfortunately. I didn't have as much then. But percentage-wise, it was ridiculous. Because we got in when it was, under 10 cents. And we got out for multiple dollars. What was it? It was Matic, Polygon, layer 2 solution, Ethereum. This year, there's a lot of hype around Bitcoin. The halving, the ETFs, all this, ordinals are being built, all these different things. That's why I go, hey, I bet you layer 2 solutions for Bitcoin and make Bitcoin more efficient will be quite successful. I'd rather stick my money in something like this than an ordinal, because eventually it's just a weird JPEG that you have to convince somebody that it's worth owning that inscription on that point of the blockchain to have a weird picture. If there's a community and something based around it, so you get more than just the JPEG, that's where value comes in, community comes in, like the Bored Apes and other things like that, where things are building. If that's happening with ordinals, I don't know about it. I'm not saying it isn't, but I know about this kind of stuff. And when we look at it right now on the 4 hour, let me make sure I'm on the right tool. We're seeing we have this downward motion. We're seeing a level of resistance that has so fired our critical fear, and it's become support. And now all my drawings just came out, which we were going to show in a second. I keep forgetting it's going to do that. But we were talking about what are the odds and what are the likelihoods of what is going to happen with this. You can go back and watch. We didn't just squiggle this up. We leave it all the time. And just like I said tonight, when we know we have our 3 touches on a channel and we're holding this line, we have 3 options. Retest, take off, consolidate, go longer, or shit the bed. And we said it'll probably come right down to this level. Because why? Right where we just dropped this. Coincidence? So now we take these tools and we start to find these entries. We've been going down for so long. There's such a good narrative here. I'm going to wait just because I'm still unsure if they're going to sell more fear to the sheep. But on the lower time frames, if we get this cross and it's off to the races, where are we stopping at? If we break out and retest these lines, so let's just take here. First retest, 2.63. Second resistance, 5.65. Almost 10, 12, 13. And these are 4 hour candles. So you may be able to do that in, a couple of days. Or you might be able to squeak in those smaller percentages on the quick style, on the stack of capital, just by buying the fear indicator. You got out right now, 8 hours, 10.52%. We've been talking about this coin from day one. It's got the curl, it's got the critical fear, and went right down to this report where we said it was going to go. We don't have the crystal ball. We don't know if it's going to go here. We don't know if it's going to go here. We don't know if it's going to go there. What we do know, it's going to get to certain areas in certain regions. We just don't know what time and how. But we know as soon as the pattern breaks or it happens or money flow changes, it's time to pay attention. And when we're sniping these throughout the day and we find these layups, guess what? Enter the trade. This is what we did with Fetch. AI. All right, so we've looked at blockchain with Casper, layer 2 solution on Bitcoin, and now we're looking at AI. We saw this area consolidation happening in these areas. We dipped because, well, the market shot. So that's going to happen. Look at that curl. Consolidation started to take off. Where'd we stop? Just before that, we went right to it. Came back down, which would make sense if you got into here. This is the kind of stuff that's going to kill you when we're covering coins and you know how to do all this and you start actually following. In 2 hours, 4.69%. Why wouldn't you cash out? Because you're greedy and you think you're going to get all the way up in here right away? Look how long it took to do all this. Take the money. Take it as fast as you can. All right. Now we have our exit. Look how fast that curl's starting. We know the market's in a downwards trend. Where are we probably going to go? Probably down into here again. We'll keep going this low. Don't know. But I'm pretty certain it's going to go down unless money comes from the total market cap, blah, blah, blah. It's the same story. Unless you want to listen to Twitter news. So that between the day the Grateful Show and a little TA, and then now just doing our regular recap is everything that I really wanted to go over. So if anybody has any questions, I know when Chris hates when I do that because you put him on the spot to quickly move everything. I'm here.
I like how at the beginning of this whole meeting, you were like, I don't have a lot to say today, guys. You know, I'm pretty tired. And I think you spoke more on your own today than any other one that we've had so far, which I appreciate. The one thing I did want to ask about, only because Anna America was asking about this in the Discord, was I believe it was asking about a Head and Shoulders pattern on, I wrote it down, Algo, I think it was. I don't know. I don't know if you have that or if it's going to be easy for you to maybe pop in, or maybe you can pop. Because we have about 10 or 13 minutes left here. But I just can't remember what the timeline was that they were looking at. So maybe we can.
No worries. We'll have a look. We'll find it. I'm just having a look at our chat right now. Anna America, would you just move your stop loss up if you need to leave so you could still catch higher greens? Or is it best to close your trade? Higher greens, first thing I think of is greed. If you're in profit and you need to leave, take the profit. Unless your stop loss and you're seeing legs to run, move your stop loss up, but don't move it above where it is. Take the profit, because 9 times out of 10, Murphy's Law, you're going to move it up. You know, Bitcoin's going to, and then you have capital tied up. You know, and we talked about that yesterday, is if your capital's tied up, it's not working for you. So there's always 3 options. Would you like some money, no money, or less money? And if you're ever in the position of money, why wouldn't you take it? We've already seen how these little tiny percentages total up, right? What was the coin again? Sorry, Algo?
Algo, yeah, and said it was way zoomed out, so I'm assuming probably the
no worries.
daily or the weekly, maybe.
Let's have a look. I'll replace Toad. This is a shit token. Actually, this might turn into something interesting. We'll get into that another day, though. Come on.
Well, you've just started at the A's, so it's going to take you a while to get to the T's.
Yeah, exactly. Hilarious. Algo, right? I'm losing my mind.
Yes.
Algo. Okay, so said way zoomed out. Let's zoom out. Oh, isn't that pretty? Yeah. Wow. Crazy. I'll clean this up in a sec here. Now you'll see when we do it this way where the difference in the time frame will change the patterns. the strongest patterns are always going to be on the weekly or the monthly, period. Well, that doesn't mean the patterns that are happening on the shorter time frames, the days and things, don't exist nor play out. But if I'm looking for strength and to find out something I'm going on, because I'll be honest, I have no idea what's going on with this right now. Let's find out.
I think they clarified that it was on the 4 hour from early December.
Okay.
So we can go in later if you want.
Totally. I'm actually this could be a really good pop soon. On the 4 hour, let's get rid of the indicators. When did you say, sorry?
Around in December, approximately.
I mean, see, here's the hard part. Right now, I'm not seeing a head and shoulders. But that doesn't mean we can't adjust a few of the if you were thinking in here, this would need to be higher. This
go further back. She said early December, so like it shows before it goes up, right? Like the 7th.
This here is your triple top, right? Or your why can't I think of it at the moment? Give me a sec. One, two, three. Correction. Now, of course, a little pullback is always going to happen. So
that's
there's
called
your
a downward squirrel
or two,
or something.
right? And then there is.
Did you just make that up? Did you just make
Yeah,
downward squirrel up? Because I was like, I've never heard.
Good, right?
Never heard of that before.
So your bearish chart is your triple top, right? If it was a head and shoulders, this would have been higher. And then this would be your shoulders, and this would be your head.
Squirrel really gets around, eh? Jeez.
So I want to say it's like a pendant. What is that called again? I'm in a brain fart. It's been a long day. Triple top, and then if this would have retested, it would have gone up, but it did not retest. And that's why we always want to look for those retests, because if they don't make it, we know it's going down.
She said, sorry guys, it's that time from December to now, basically on the 4 hour, it looks like a head and shoulder with a flat head, I guess. I was just curious if I was spotting something.
Oh, for like the whole time. Got it.
Now I see what you're saying.
It looks
and
like,
that's where see, actually, like it's not far off when you actually look at it like that, right? Here's your shoulders. Now, typically it's more like that. And
so like less consolidation in those pieces,
I mean, but it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's not bad at all, but I'm more seeing, I mean, it's going to give you some of the right still advice. It's still going down at that point. But I'm more seeing that. I'm more seeing the up, and then same would be the quick patterns I see. Yeah, this would be more your head and shoulders. Very close. But that's more what I would say is actually going on as quick and dirty. I hope that helps.
It does. If you come across a head and shoulders as you're doing your TA through the next little while, if you could log a head and shoulders for us, and so we can check it out.
Let's see if I can find one quickly in here. Oh, close, but no. It's neat because when you do learn the patterns and you start to see them every now and then, you're like, like a teacup is, for whatever reason, just, I love them. You don't see them as often. double top.
Is that the same as a flying squirrel? I can't with you
You
guys. You
know,
got to tell me if what you're talking about is legit or not now.
right?
Chris is such a dick.
You can see that. Look at that compression in that channel, right? And this is what we're talking about today. Is if you can start to see those patterns and where the majority of that price action is taking place, you can start doing your technical analysis that way as well. If you don't want to use those, just like we did, right now with our pen, where we're going, okay, it's doing this. We have our, feel free to mark up. And if you want to take a screenshot of it and ask and drop it in the Discord, totally. But when you take a screenshot, do me a favor. Let me see the information. If I don't get to see this, I can't help you. But if you have questions for any of our TAs, if you include that information to have these kind of questions, absolutely, I'll help you out.
Which is such a good idea, because I mean, we want to start being able to recognize these things on our own, right? As opposed to just seeing them and hearing them. So we can put it in, get confirmation or otherwise, and it's helpful.
You're right.
I want to be able to teach. I want to be able to teach at some point, right? Because as opposed to just hearing it and applying it myself, to be able to talk about it and pass it forward is ideal.
Oh, absolutely. And that's also why I'll do this more in the beginning as well, because just like we've been doing now, what is this, day 12? And for those that have been coming 12 days, I bet you this made a lot more sense now than it did 12 days ago. And that's why I'll continue to talk through.
I could make so much funnier content now, just like mocking this shit, because I've spent so much time actually seeing and now understanding more, where it's like, it makes it way easier to just like, I could make such troll content on this stuff right now. We're like, oh, just draw this line. Oh yeah, see how it all connects. And yeah, of course. Like, I would have a blast doing it. I might really upset some people, but it'd be easy. So,
right.
Only because I've been picking up so much as time goes on. And yeah, so looking forward to more, man. It's been great.
Awesome. It's great to hear. And
we're at that 3 minute, we have that 3 minute left mark. So I just want to keep you guys on task.
Cool. And what I was just going to say, like today with that TA, even though it was, obviously a little bit shorter because our day earlier, but it was a completely different style. And if you have one that works better for you, if you want to draw it out, like the patterns on the charts that you have that are printable, and use the paintbrush to try and find them and do that before the indicators and layer them on top, that's up to you. If that system works better for you and it's working, who am I to judge? Right? But if you follow what the indicators are saying, you follow what the trends are saying, and you look where those support and resistance are and where the money is flowing, we're going to find way more success, and to get better at it, you just got to do it over and over and over. And cool thing is, this is what I do for a living. I got to do it soon. I got to get back to work. On that note, I will say goodnight. I'll shut up. I'll let these two say goodnight unless there's any other questions. Again, thanks very much for your time. The retweets, the people that helped me repost and tell Twitter on the imposter that I had at 4 o'clock in the morning and posted his address and got some money out of people. So thanks for helping get that. Other than that, good night. See you tomorrow night at 7. And Showbiz, always a pleasure to see you, buddy.
Yeah, it's been nice to see some of the same faces during the Grateful show today, as well as during your TA, as well as now. So we really appreciate, the peeps that are staying consistent with it, because that's how you get better.
It's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. And big shout out to America for asking the question about the Head and Shoulders thing. And like, other people guaranteed have the same questions. Certainly me, I don't even know what to ask. So when somebody else does, I'm like, hey, I get to learn something because somebody else asked a question. So I encourage it. And I love that you guys are showing up wherever we're at. If we're here, if we're on Twitter, wherever we're at, you're showing up. I can't thank you enough. It's been great. So with that, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace, guys. See
Good
you
night.
tomorrow.
See ya. Have a good night.